he's on the media guide and all that. What kind of conversation did you have with him about the leadership roles that would entail and everything that's going to come with that?
Well, just not with Ras-I, but all the captains that were elected by their teammates, as far as being, leaders, being out front by what they say, what they do, their actions. And Ras-I has taken his leadership role, to heart. I mean, he lives it, breathes it, walks it, talks it, and our guys look up to him as they do all the other captains. But specifically when it comes to the defense, having pride in the secondary. I mean, that's what he's interested in, and that's what he likes to promote, that type of attitude about don't throw my way. So he is. I've always said he's a great young man. In the classroom, in the community, and on the field, he's an All-American. So he's definitely one of our leaders.
Speaking of Ras-I, he didn't practice yesterday. Can we get an update on him and whether he'll be out there working, practicing today?
Yeah, he'll be all right. There's just precautionary measures. He'll be out there today a little bit, doing a little bit of stuff, and then when he's ready to go 100%, then he'll be out there.
Coach, can you just talk about some of the bigger things you've noticed improve since the start of camp? I know it's early, but have you noticed anything like that?
Well, I mean, you guys right here watching practice too. I mean, I think there's a little bit of energy. There's up tempo. There's guys are having fun. They're competitive. They're challenging each other. But the main focus is to get better as they go along here. And day 3, looking for improvement from day 2, and from day 1. So I think we're getting that way. We're making strides in some areas. We're still adding on, as you would, because this is not too many practices that we've had where now you start to put in the scheme part of it. So we're moving forward, and we're putting more on the guys' plate. And some of them are handling it. The majority of them are handling it. There's some of them that need some back in the film room and back on the practice field rest. But I think we'll get there.
Mike, how much did Steve Greer's injury set him back and not being able to take part in most of the spring?
Well, the biggest thing, when you hurt your ankle, then it cuts your ability to condition and to run and do some linebacker drills that that are important. But I think from the mental standpoint, I mean, Steve is such a student of the game as far as formations, tendencies, any kind of clues that may be given by the running backs or the quarterback. So he's a very, very smart player, and it's only a matter of time that now the conditioning part catches up to his mental part, and he'll be a significant contributor, I'm sure.
What's the timing of these practices? I know you kind of go to the competitive aspect in the middle almost. Is that just to liven things up? Is that intentional?
No, the timing is, the stretch and get the coordinators a chance to get with their groups, get the position coaches a chance to do the fundamentals of playing the position, and then, as you say, maybe in the middle of practice, and you put all of that together, and then towards the latter part of practice, you put some kicking game situations in there, or you talk about situations of the game, whether it's coming out or third down, short yardage, or whatever it may be. So, but you always try to make it up tempo. You want guys flying around, running around. You want them learning, but you also want them to learn that you got to play the game fast. And that's kind of been the mindset is you get out here, execute your assignment, play fast, and then have fun doing it.
Coach Dominique Wallace, a guy that had his season cut short last year, can you talk about how he's looked and what he'll be looked upon to do this year for the team?
Dominic, we talked about, he came into camp last year, overweight, worked his way up all the way through the depth chart to be the starter. And, he missed spring, and now he's back, and he's out, and he's healthy. Starting from a position of having to, know the offense and all that. And he's like, Coach, I did it last year, I'll do it again. So he's making steady improvement, and I'd love for him to be the back that he was last year at this time. So all eyes are on him, watching him, see how he does, but if he gets better, then it makes the whole running back situation better.
Mike, when you were here as an assistant a couple of years, because of injuries and other things, that the guys on defense really had to do the Iron Man deal and not rotate guys in. There just weren't a lot of guys behind them. In an ideal world, would you like to rotate guys in the front 7 in particular?
Well, actually, you want that to happen because if you're more of a get-off attack team, you want to be able to keep fresh bodies in there. And I think it speaks to whoever the 2s or the 3s are that, at any given time you could be put in the game. So you have to be, you have to have your A game going. And even if you're a backup or third-team player that makes the traveling squad, we're counting on you to give 2, 5, or 6 reps, whatever you're called upon, to go in there and be aggressive and attack the line of scrimmage. So, hopefully during camp we're getting in shape because of the conditions that we put them in, the conditioning drills that they've done, just playing football, and and hopefully everybody gets an opportunity to get on the field because that's going to help us in the end.
What's the point where the grind of camp starts to set in?
Probably around midway, when you've had a couple two-a-days, and when you're getting up in the morning, you still got to lift, and the routine of just doing everything over and over and over again. So you just want to make sure you guard against being complacent about that. That for us, we're looking forward to our first game. I mean, we got to train for our first game to get ready to go. So I think it's human nature to talk about the grind aspect of it, but I think these guys are hungry to go out on the field and perform, and we're going to try to treat each day as the first day of practice, and hopefully today is another indication of that, and we get better, we play faster, and we improve from yesterday.
Coach, can you talk about you have receivers that have experience out there? Can you just talk about how they've looked and what they'll be looked upon to do this year?
Well, the receiving corps has actually done a pretty good job. Tim Smith, he's as fast as I've always thought he was, and he's proved that on a couple of occasions. Kris Burd has become a really, really good route runner. Dontrell Inman, a tall, long wide receiver that can make plays, very athletic. So, and then we got a second tier of guys that are pushing those guys. Jared Greens and Snyder's, Dre Keys. So there's a lot of competition going on there at the wide receiver position, and you can't put a whole bunch of them on the field at the same time, but the ones that are out in front, as long as they know you got some guys behind them pushing, then they got to stay on their A game. So it's been a pleasant surprise to see the amount of long throws, the amount of catch after runs that these guys have done thus far. But we still got a long way to go, a lot of practices left, and a lot of things to add, and just want to make sure that athleticism can also deal with running the right plays and running the right routes.
Kris Burd, especially out of that group, seems to have performed pretty well these first couple of days. Can you talk about the role you envision for him in the offense this season?
Well, I expect him to be a playmaker. He's one of the strongest guys on our team. He can block, he can run his routes, he can catch, and he's fast. He's very capable of being a very good wide receiver. So we're trying to find as many weapons as we can on offense. And if you can have a couple, 2 or 3 at the wide receiver positions, and then have a running back or running game that complements that, a tight end, you throw that in the mix, then we're hoping that we can provide some playmaking ability on the offense.
Mike, yesterday it looked like when the tailbacks went out in rotations that Dominique and Mac were at the bottom of the list. Any significance to that? Any sort of internal maybe motivation for those guys?
That's how they ended up coming out of spring. Dominique didn't participate in the spring, and Torrey, of the group of running backs that were able to participate, was kind of in that latter tier of it. So and they all know they can work their way back, particularly Dominique. But it's not it's a starting point for them, and it's not an indication of what they did or what they didn't do.
But even below the 2 incoming freshmen?
No, well, I mean, they've gotten their reps, and reps we've counted in practice. And the 2, Kevin Parks is everybody sees, he's a talent. So it's a challenge to manage the reps.
Sure. So
everybody feels like they're getting enough. We're going to make sure that Perry Jones gets his reps. He ended at number 1, coming out of spring practice, and now I believe indications that Keith Payne is going to be all right academically, so he'll be in the mix. And you got Don Wallace, who's a starter. Now he's on the men back, and then you got KP, who's a good back himself, and then Torrey. So it's like I said, I think we're very talented in that position right there.